Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we are doing another special effects makeup look, and for this look I want to do Pennywise from the movie It, specifically the Tim Curry 90s Pennywise. Now don't get me wrong, I love the new Pennywise. I think he's super fun and creepy, but there is something just so unsettling about Tim Curry as a person, especially when he puts that makeup on, that's just my favorite version of Pennywise personally. But when you see a lot of like Pennywise makeup looks, they tend to be more of the newer one, and I get it because the newer Pennywise does have more of a creep factor to him. The makeup is a little bit more creepy, but that's why I love the original Pennywise, because he looked more like a regular clown. He was more believable to be a clown that someone like a little kid would approach without feeling sort of like weirded out by. The newer Pennywise, I think he's almost like too creepy to be just like a normal clown, to be able to blend in. But yeah, I don't really see a lot of people do like Tim Curry version Pennywise makeups, and I know that's just because it's not as creepy as it could be with the newer Pennywise. So what I want to do is I want to do a Pennywise makeup and then see what we can add to like spruce it up and make it a little bit more like bloody and gory. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this white grease makeup that I have, and I'm going to kind of just do like a base layer and start building up that white, because Pennywise, being a clown, has a completely white face. And once you have the white cream base makeup, I like to take just my regular setting powder, mix it with a little bit of like a white or translucent powder, and then just sort of press it in, give it more of a matte look. Now these are just like basic Spirit Halloween cream makeups that I have. They're a little bit old, so they're not sitting as well on my skin as I'd like to, but that's more just because I'm too lazy to go buy new products. The evenness of my skin right now isn't the best, but I was also expecting that. You can put like a layer of foundation on, not a super heavy layer, but just something to have on your skin. I did use a primer before I started, just so my skin wasn't completely bare, but just with the age of my makeup and just not having any other type of like cream base before applying this, there is like some cracking. You can tell the texture is not great, but we'll just completely ignore that. In fairness, for the makeup of Tim Curry, he had a lot of latex on his face, which is easier to not have creasing whenever it's latex, but we'll kind of get over that. Now that I have like a good white base layer, I want to work on the nose next. Now, one of the bigger differences between the Tim Curry original It and the Brian Skarsgard's remake It is the fact that the nose is a little bit different. Tim Curry has the standard typical big red clown nose, while Brian has more of almost like a cat-like outline on his nose that's just red. So I don't have a big red nose or anything I can really make like a bulbous nose without having to like fully create something. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of give the illusion of having a big red circular nose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more of my red cream makeup and then a brush that I use to do like my eyebrows with, and just sort of trace around and give the illusion of like a big circular nose, and then just sort of fill that in. So right now what I did is I just did sort of a circle around my nose, making sure to really accentuate towards the outer edges, because there's creases and dips in my nose. I want to make it so when I'm looking straight on at someone that it gives the illusion of being a complete circle. I know when you kind of turn to the side, you can see it's more of like angular and sort of like a weird boxy hexagon kind of shape, but when you're looking straight on, once I fill it in, it should give that illusion of a big red nose. Okay, so now the nose is filled in. I know it's a little bit silly looking right now. Now, you might notice that it doesn't look like a perfect circle, and that's because I went too far up in my bridge of my nose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some white on this brush and sort of slowly bring it back down until it sort of rounds out and kind of matches more of the bottom shape of the nose. That's looking a lot better. Definitely not perfect, but you know, work in progress. So now we have the big red nose, which is pretty much a necessity to become a clown. And I think what I want to do next is work on the eyes. So the Tim Curry Pennywise has just kind of basic black eyeliner around the eyes. It comes down a little bit to like a drip down the middle. It does it also on the top lid, but with more of like a blue to it. And then he has these very like dark, thin eyebrows. So I'm going to go ahead and just take some of my basic regular makeup that I use to do that eyeliner look, and then probably some cream makeup to do a little bit of the blue on top, and then we'll sort of just fill everything in. in. So I'm going to start with the eyeliner look, and I'm just going to start by basically tight lining my upper and lower eyelids. So now I have a basic just outliner look on my eyes. So now I'm going to take this liner with my brush and sort of go in and just darken up those areas and sort of thicken them up a bit as well. A little fun fact for you guys, the original Pennywise look was supposed to be more complicated than it turned out to be, but Tim Curry said if the makeup involved hours and hours of sitting in that makeup chair, he was not going to do it. A previous movie that he had done, he would spend up to 6 hours in the makeup chair every single day and said he refused to do that again. So they toned down the Pennywise makeup, but Tim Curry's performance in general was so creepy that they decided they didn't even need to add anything else and that they were going to stay with the more minimal clown look. So that just shows you how great Tim Curry was as Pennywise in that character mindset, that he was so creepy that they decided a regular clown was just enough makeup for him. He just kind of did the rest. And honestly, I think that's why I like the original It better than Brian Skarsgard's. Not that Brian didn't do a good job, because he did, and there was a lot of thought and consideration that went into the costume and makeup in the remade It movies. But Tim Curry, just as the actor alone, was so immersed in his role as Pennywise, the children on set would not hang out with him if he was in his Pennywise costume. Even if they just called cut and they were having lunch, if he was still dressed as Pennywise, he so genuinely creeped everyone out that the kids didn't want to be around him. And a lot of the adults too said that he sort of would get into a mind space where you weren't really sure what was going on in his head, and it was genuinely terrifying. Although Brian Skarsgard did bring something different to the Pennywise character. For those of you who may have seen it, you know of the eye trick that he can do, where his Pennywise would be like looking at someone and one of his eyes would slowly like kind of move to the side. That's actually Brian's real eyes. He has a lazy eye but is able to control the movement of it. So he can be looking at you dead on and then slowly one of his eyes sort of will drift away. So none of that is CGI. That's all Brian. Along with the mouth of the new Pennywise, sort of when he smiles, how his lower lip droops down. Brian Skarsgard's lips do that. They look like that. So when his lip drops down, you see all the inside of his lip, and that's not makeup. That's all just his mouth. They just sort of accentuated it a little bit underneath. But a lot of the facial expressions that he did in the newer It movies were not CGI. They were his facial expressions. So now I've got the darkness around my eyes, and now I want to do the line on the top and the bottom. It's a very subtle, just sort of like meets in the middle right where your pupil is when you're looking dead on, and it just kind of brings down a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look straight into my mirror and see where my pupils are and just sort of make a mark. So that right there is sort of where I'm going to kind of make it look more like a point. But even right now you can see that the subtle clown look is coming together. And just like doing my eyeliner, I feel like there's always one side that looks way better than the other side, but that's what you get when you're doing makeup. So I think I'm already going to add a little bit of a spice to this, something a little bit different that you don't see with Pennywise. I want to kind of bring the tip in a little bit on my inner corners as well and sort of sharpen that up too. Okay, I got a little bit eyeliner happy, and now I have little wings on the outside as well. That's fine. So now that we have the bottom half done, I want to work on the top half. So it's essentially the same thing, except for now it's blue, and there's a little bit more heavier blue up in the top, and then it still goes up into a point. It's not super noticeable in the movie just because he doesn't always have his eyes closed, but when he does close his eyes, you do see that blue underneath. Okay, so what I've done now is I've just added like blue on top of the black. It's almost like a blue eyeliner, like super thick blue eyeliner that I've done. And now I just want to sort of bring up and do the same point, but now on the top part. And I have this palette of like a bunch of different cream makeups. I'm using that same eyeliner brush to sort of just pick up a little bit and do more finer lines. And that's sort of what the finished look will be. Like I said, it's very subtle, the blue on top. He does have a decent amount. Some like promotional photos, he's a little bit more than like he does in the movie. So what I did is I just basically made a big blue line up the top of my eye. I have pretty big eyes when I opened them. I cover a lot of the shadow that you would do on my face. So I had to kind of accentuate and bring it up more because of the way that my brow bones are. It's, you know, like it looks like a lot of space, and then I open my eyes and you're like, oh, there's like nothing there. So I had to go up a little bit further than maybe most people do, because it doesn't have to go all the way up into like where the eyebrow is, but just because of the shape and style of my eyes, that's kind of what I have to do. So So now we're going to do this again on the other side. And just like when doing your regular makeup with like your eyeliner, if you feel like maybe you don't have the shape right or you want a little overboard, just take some of the white cream base and just kind of like use it to touch up a little bit like you would foundation and eyeliner. Okay, I'm not going to mess with that anymore because the more I mess with it, the more out of hand it's going to become. So next I want to do the eyebrows. Now he's got very thin, pointed, exaggerated eyebrows. I did not feel like trying to cover my eyebrows. You can take a glue stick and glue down your eyebrows and then put like foundation over them to kind of conceal them a little bit. I didn't feel like going through that hassle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover my eyebrows a little bit more with some of the white just to sort of conceal them just a little bit more. And then I'm going to just darken in the same small pencil-y thin eyebrows, and then we'll just kind of have like an illusion of them because the eyebrows need to be bigger and like more exaggerated than mine are. And there are a ton of different videos and stuff on how to glue down your eyebrows. It's very popular with drag queen makeup because a lot of times they just draw on new brows, so they'll glue their eyebrows down and that way they can have a sort of a smooth finish. You don't have to worry about seeing the eyebrows. I'm not going to go through all that hassle. I've done it before, but I didn't feel like doing it now. But basically just take I'll take a glue stick and just sort of glue up and then in downward motions to sort of flatten out my eyebrows, and then once that dries, you put powder, foundation, boom, good to go. But this is the best I'm going to do for right now. And eyebrows are tricky, just like everything else. Sisters, not twins, nothing's going to look the same. But basically his are they're very accentuated and curved, almost like to a surprise look. So that's kind of what I'm going to go for. So that's going to be my basic shape. And now I'm going to go in and fill in, make it a little bit rounder here, kind of puff it out in the middle and thin it out in the bottom. So now that I've got my eyebrows on, I'm just taking that brush and dipping it into that like liquidy white and just kind of brushing over, cleaning up edges, and then also just going back over my eyebrows just to sort of help give them a little bit more of a white to them. And I'll blend this out once I sort of clean up all the edges I want to clean. Alright, our Pennywise look is coming together. Eyebrows, I'm wishing now that I had glued down, but you know, what can we do? Pretty much the last thing that we have left is his big red lips. Now his lips do have more of a sharpness to them, especially in the outer corners, a little bit more accentuated and they sharpen out. And this is so whenever he opens his mouth and exposes his big mouth of sharp children eating teeth, it already has sort of like a bigger effect to it. So we're going to just basically draw an outline around our mouth where we want to kind of make the lips more accentuated and pointed. They're not big and fat, they're more thin and just bright, sharp red. So that's our sort of basic outline. So now I'm going to fill it in completely with red. Okay, lips are filled in. I'm a little bit unhappy with how they're looking, so I'm going to go in with the white and touch up the outer edges just to sort of smooth things out a little bit. So now, technically, we could be done. This could be the end of your Pennywise look. This technically is just as much as he has on his face. Now, I know it's not perfect. I'm working on my face painting skills, and I don't have those quality of products to choose from, so it's streaky, it's not as clean and smooth as I'd like it to be, I know, but this could be just a fun Pennywise look for you to do. But I also know a lot of people like the newer version of it because it creates more of a creepy costume. You can sort of accentuate and do different things. It's a clown makeup, but like creepy at the same time. This kind of looks more like a basic clown, so I want to do some stuff just to sort of gore it up a little bit. And I think I want to keep it more on the simple side. I don't want to do something super crazy because as we've learned from the great Tim Curry, you don't have to have a lot of gore to be creepy. So I think I just want to add a little bit of like bloody, scabby kind of things to the corners of my mouth and then underneath my eyes where the points are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a toothpick and this container I have of fake coagulated blood, which I really like because it's super just like, it's almost like jelly. It's super thick and gross. It's just very thick and settles like thick old blood would. So I want to use this, but this has a lot of red to it. It's very bright. So I want which isn't a problem for my eyes, but for my mouth, I don't want it to look too bright red and fake. So I want to add a little bit of black just to like the corners here and then sort of fade it in. So I'm just going to take my lip brush and very, very hesitantly dip it in back into this black here and just sort of work on darkening up in there. So once I place the blood over top, the blood has a darker base to it. So since the brush has black on it, what I'm doing is just sort of placing the black and then using my pinky finger to fade it out. That way it's more of a subtle look versus like a stark black line. Okay, so now that I've got that kind of darkened up, I'm going to take a toothpick and sort of just swish it around in the coagulated blood and put some on there, and then I'm going to just sort of place it onto those darkened areas. Alright, so now I've got the blood in my lips. It's very weird feeling because it's very sticky, but now I kind of have just like a creepy, bloody smile. And I can even bring a little bit into like the bottom of my lip if I would like. Obviously you don't have to. And now I'm going to take just the toothpick again and go over now the bottom parts where I have those black, sharper lines. And everyone, apologize to your eyelashes now because they're going to be sticky with fake blood. So now I'm going to change of heart, and I've decided I want to take my eyeliner brush and sort of bunch it into my bottom eyelashes as well so they look bloody too. So RIP to my bottom lashes, they're probably going to be falling off here soon. And now I'm just touching up some of the white because I made a little bit of a mess with the red in some areas. So I'm trying to hide some of that pink. Do you know who I am?
You're a clown.
I am a clown.
There's a lot of clowns. Our movies with clowns. Pennywise?
There you go. So I've went through and I've cleaned up a little bit of the areas that got a little bit red in the white. I was really struggling with the red today apparently, and like I said in my previous video, red's very unforgiving, so once it's on you, it's on you. I'm completely covered in makeup, but this could be my finished Pennywise look. And just a little accent of blood underneath the eyes and in the mouth makes us a little bit more gory and spooky, not just basic, creepy Halloween clown makeup. But this is the kind of clown makeup I don't mind seeing, especially for it. I know the new version with the mouth that goes up into the eyes is like really popular to do right now, but I wanted to show some love to the original Tim Curry Pennywise character, and I think I've done a pretty decent job. As I said, my face painting skills are in need of a little bit of work. I need better quality makeups to make things blend a little bit easier together, but for what I've got, I'm pretty proud of what I've done. I hope you guys found this somewhat helpful or enjoyable to watch. I wanted to give you another little look to do, especially with Halloween coming up in about 2 weeks. And I'll post some still images of this as well onto my Instagram, What a Horror, the same day that this video dropped, so check me out there to see some closer up images as well. But as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to see new videos. I put out new videos every Friday. And until next time, stay spooky.